All right, I'm doing a review of the Icon drill and tap set. I've already drilled and tapped this one. It turned out pretty good. All I'm doing is working on a lathe. I'm trying to build a thing to hold the engine. This is an old lathe that used to use steam and all the flat belts and stuff. But anyway, I'm just going to give you some kind of my opinions and or some advice on when you're starting your tap. When you get your hole drilled, you want to make sure you try to get the hole drilled as straight as possible. Make sure there's really nothing in there. There's a little bit of debris on the back side, but this thing will clean it out. Now what I do is you can take a little bit of oil. It don't have to be good oil. It can just be regular old motor oil you got sitting around house, and I'll squirt a little bit in there, and a lot of times I'll squirt some on your tap too, which I'm doing this one-handed, so kind of makes it difficult to do. And this isn't like rocket scientist. I mean, people's been doing it for years. Just put a little bit on there. And the most important thing I can tell you when you're tapping is don't break the tap off. That's the most, don't force it. You want it to cut, back it out, cut, back it out. Do a few turns, back it out, make sure it's nice and loose. But one of the most important things is, like this right here is not that important because my piece of steel is on there. So it's just going to go through there and then through the main housing. But if you had to drill this hole through this and then you had to bolt a big piece of steel that you wanted to line up with the hole, you'll have to make sure that your tap goes in perfectly straight. If it goes off in an angle like this, if you're going in and it threads in an angle, well, when you go to put your bolt in, you're not going to get it to thread in. That's one main thing you ought to make sure you do, is this tap's got to go straight through depending what job you're doing. That's, you know what I mean, that's the most important thing. And when you start your tap, you just want to make sure it's straight. And then the tap will actually start to cut by itself, so you don't have to actually be forcing it to go through. And this tap's pretty daggone straight, as you can see. I can do it with my hand usually now, but if it's got to be within a 1/16 of an inch straight, you're going to have to make sure that thing's straight, or use some kind of guide to run this tap through to make sure it's going to, you know what I mean? If you can, you can't do it if you're working on the engine or whatever, but if you can, put whatever you're bolting to it, put the hole, line it up, and then run your tap through the hole if the hole's bigger than your tap, and then do that. Chances are it's just going to be a little bit bigger and it's not going to work, but you always want to make sure that your tap is perfectly straight. It takes very little effort when it goes to start to thread. Now when it starts to, see how my doing it one-handed, you see how that thing's going crooked? It's crooked. And it was straight when I first started on it. It starts to pull itself if you don't watch. You got to make sure that you keep this thing perfectly straight. And doing it one-handed kind of makes it difficult. I can do it, but I have to really be paying attention to what I'm doing. But that's the most important thing. If you got a guide to keep your tap straight, works perfect. Now it's starting to get a little tougher as it starts to cut. And you don't want to force it. You just want it to thread itself through. And if you need to, as you get a couple threads in there, you can just keep your threads, because that just makes keeps the friction down. I mean, you got friction because it's cutting, but you want to make sure, and she's cutting pretty straight now, make sure that you know, your cutters are not dry, because then it makes it a lot harder to get this thing to turn. Now when you go in so far, you're going to want to back that out just a little bit and go like this. Get them threads cleaned out. That way you're not pulling all them chunks of metal back through the thread. And if you just follow this guideline, what I'm doing, and if it feels like it's getting too tight, just back it out a little bit and twist it back and forth. And then give her a tug. Steel's a lot harder to go through than aluminum, of course. Aluminum's a lot softer. And I'm using this, it's all the Icon tap. This is the first time me using it. I did a review up of things I liked and didn't like on the tool. So if you want to go back, like and subscribe, and watch that video. So I've got a few in there, so I'm going to go ahead and start tweaking this thing back and forth. It takes a little bit of force once you get in there. And then I'll do a good cut, and you'll feel them burrs once you wiggle it back and forth. You'll feel them grabbing a little bit, and then they cut loose. It's just hard to do this with one hand. Let me see if I can't set this down a minute. Because I can definitely do it a lot better with two hands. Maybe that'll stay. But you just keep kind of turning it. And it depends how hard your material is, how hard it's going to be to go through. Now this one's gotten a little bit tough, but it's still cutting pretty good. Now if it gets real tough, I just back it out a little bit and do your little turning thing and get another good turn on it. And then I'll back it out a little bit. And if you have to, run your tool out just a few threads. Don't want to run it out too far. And add you a little bit more stuff to it. And run it back in. You just want to let that tool cut. Now this thing here, what I like about it, I'm not using it, but you can put a ratchet on the back side of it. Give you a little bit more torque, easier on your hands. It's cutting pretty easy, so I must be through it. Yeah, it's cutting pretty easy. Now what I like to do, if you got an air compressor or whatever, before you get to the air compressor to blow the hole out, you'll just want to run this thing back and forth, free up them threads, make sure that thing spins nice and free. Should be able to spin it like this with your finger. Once it gets in there, and if it's free, like you'll feel a couple catches on it. If it's catching, you'll be able to turn it out like this, and then you'll be able to turn it in like that too. It'll be this easy. And all that's doing is I'm just cleaning the threads out, trying to get some of that shavings out of there, and make sure my threads are nice and clean. But two hands, this would have been a lot quicker. I would have already been done. But that's basically all there is to it. But just remember, I can't stress this enough, make sure you're threading straight. Get her straight as possible, and just kind of take it easy, take your time. And you'll see all the gunk. I'll show you over here. You'll see all the gunk that it actually catches right there. That's a lot of steel that it's pulling out of there. So, you know, always keep that in mind. This thing, you know, it's made to clean its own threads out. So, and you always want to blow the hole out. Yep. She looks pretty clean in there. Let me, if I can't, my light's broke. Let me see if I can't get a shine in there. Threads look pretty clean. Like I said, I'll put that bolt in there. I got to find me another bolt. All I'm doing is building a cage for this lathe here, and I'm putting one of these, stacking it on top of here, run a flat belt, and then I'm putting an electric belt in the back. I'm redoing some kind of other job somebody else did. They had it all jacked up. My setup's a lot better. But anyway, I hope you liked the video. Like and subscribe. I'll try to keep up with some. I haven't been making very many lately. So thanks for watching.